Hey guys, welcome to my channel. It's Cami. So for today's video, I am doing a battle of the concealers. So I'm battling the e.l.f. 16 Hour Camo Concealer and the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in Satin Finish. This is the new one that just came out this year, and this is the original one that has been out for maybe a year now. So stay tuned to see what I think about these two concealers. All right, so I already have my base makeup on and my eyes and my eyebrows done. So for my eyebrows, I use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade in dark brown. I also have the So Jaded ColourPop X Kathleen Lights on my eyes. I have the e.l.f. Matte Putty Primer, the white one. And for foundation, I have the Maybelline Dream Urban Cover Full Coverage Foundation in 228 Soft Tan. So now it's time to go in with concealer. So these are the two concealers. The top one is the hydrating one and the bottom one is the regular normal one. So I bought both of these concealers in medium beige. However, they don't seem like the same color. It actually seems like the hydrating satin finish is a little bit more yellow than the original camo concealer. So let me swatch it and see if that is true. So as you can see, the top one is the hydrating satin concealer and the bottom one is the original one. There's not much difference in the shades. However, I do believe the hydrating one, so the top one, is a little bit more yellow than the one in the bottom. So on my right side, your left side, I'm gonna be using the hydrating concealer. And on my left side, your right side, I'm gonna be using the original one, the one with the black cap. So I'm gonna start off with the original because I already know how this goes and I really like this. So let's start off with that and then compare the hydrating concealer to it. The original camo concealer is honestly one of my favorites. It's one that I use quite often and I actually like it better than the Tarte Shape Tape, which is crazy honestly. But it really lasts all day. Like it says, it's a 16-hour camo concealer, but it's also really comfortable and not drying under the eyes. So I really enjoy this one. So I'm just gonna blend that out with my sponge. It also blends beautifully, which is something I really look for in a concealer. And I really want it to not cling onto any dry patches on my face, which this doesn't, so that's really nice. So as you can see between the two sides, this side is very luminous and bright compared to this side. Everything's sitting really well. Nothing is clinging to dry patches, just like how I remember it. So now on my right side, I'm gonna use the Hydrating Satin Finish Concealer. So I'm just gonna do the same thing on this side as I did on my left side. So the one thing that I really enjoyed about this concealer is that it's really full coverage. So it actually covers a lot. So the hydrating one is actually covering up this darkness that I have on my skin. I do feel like the hydrating one is kind of spreading out better than the non-hydrating one. It's like it took less work to pat everything out, but I think I did use a little bit less of product on this side. But it's still giving me coverage under those eyes while brightening everything up. If you can see between the two sides, the hydrating one is a little bit more luminous than the original one. So if you have dry skin, I actually think that this hydrating concealer would actually work really well. I like both sides a lot. You can tell there's a little bit more dew and a little bit more moisture in my face on this side with the hydrating concealer, but it's not so drastic because I don't want my under eyes to be oily because I already have oily skin. So I think this actually looks really good. I can't tell which one I like better. But I'm gonna set it down like I normally would for any concealer. So I'm going to take the Coty Airspun Loose Face Powder in Translucent Extra Coverage and set down my under eyes. The problem that I could have with this hydrating concealer is that it could move throughout the day because it is a little bit more watery or hydrating. So setting it down should help with this problem. So I'm just gonna take this and pat it in. So that translucent powder actually mattified it pretty well, and it looks like it's gonna set. So what I'm kind of noticing between the two sides is that the side with the original camo concealer kind of set a little bit faster or quicker than the hydrating one, because there is more moisture in the hydrating one, so it doesn't settle in as quick. So you get a little bit more time to move it around if you need to, because it won't set as quickly. So that is the two concealers. This is the hydrating side and this is the original. I don't really see much difference between the two sides. They're both brightening and hydrating, and nothing's clinging to any dry patches. I'm gonna finish the rest of my face and then come back to you guys and let you know of my final thoughts. All right guys, so here's the makeup. I finished off with the Maybelline City Bronzer in 300. And for highlight and blush, I used the Glowing in Grease 6 highlighter and blush palette. And then on my lips, I have the ColourPop Just a Tint Lippy Stick in Nude Beach. My final thoughts on the e.l.f. 16 Hour Camo Concealer versus the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in Satin Finish. I actually really like both of these. I've of course have always loved the 16 Hour Camo Concealer, and I just noticed that this doesn't say that it's also 16 hours, so I wonder if it will last as long as this. Unfortunately, it is 9 p.m. and I can't do a wear test. I wonder how long they will last against each other. If you have your perfect shade in the original e.l.f. 16 Hour Camo Concealer and you try to buy the same shade in the e.l.f. Hydrating Concealer, it might not be the same color. A lot of YouTubers actually say that the hydrating one ends up being darker than the original. And I've also heard that the reason why e.l.f. did this is because the original Camo Concealer oxidizes. So in reference, that makes this the same color once this oxidizes. I don't notice that this oxidizes. So I don't really see much difference between the two in terms of color and coverage. The only thing I see is that the hydrating concealer is a little bit more hydrating, like it says, so it's a little bit more watery, so you have more time to manipulate it because the original sets down quicker than the hydrating one. So I think if you have dry skin, this is actually really good because it has a lot of moisture in the concealer itself, so it won't set down as quickly and it won't cling to any dry patches. So if you actually found this one really drying, this might actually be really good for you. But I do really like both and I do really recommend both. I guess it just depends on what you're looking for in your skin type. But definitely go in store and see the colors that they have, because there's no guarantee that they will be the same shade if you buy the same color in each of these concealers. All right guys, so that is my review of the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in Satin Finish and it in battle with the original one. So let me know what you think of the concealers and if you're planning on picking it up and if you guys notice any difference between the two sides. But I really do enjoy both of these and recommend both of them. So let me know if you're gonna pick them up and which one you think would work better for you. So leave a comment below on what you thought of the video, subscribe and hit the like button. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.